Hello, everybody. Turn off the thingy. Okay, cool. Yes, hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to this incredibly unplanned stream. Since I only decided that, well, I mean, I knew I was going to do this stream in general, but I hadn't decided on when I was going to do it. And then, like 15 minutes ago, I was like, kind of feel like doing it, so I might as well do it. But yeah, it is Wib from Twitter. I am occasionally on Twitter. It's true. Um, but yeah. Just kind of backfill what's happening here. Um, as you are no doubt aware, this a series like Codex Compliant requires research. A remarkable amount of it sometimes. Sometimes it is just literally reading a book, but other times it requires a little bit more than that. This is not a particularly complicated one, but it is something that's like the things we've got of it are entirely digital and they're old, and so I thought it might be a cool thing to go through it on stream, just because it's kind of, it might be interesting for you to see how, a bit of the process, and yeah, I thought it would be fun. Can't always do this kind of stuff with projects because like a lot of them are just going through books, and like then I'd have to like set up a camera to be looking at the book, and like I can't really zoom in on it easily, and it'd be a pain in the ass, and honestly it would just get in the way of the actual research. Whereas I thought this might actually be kind of conducive to doing something like this, so I thought I'd give it a shot. um, what are we doing? We're doing research for a YouTube video. Um, what the video this is about? So spoilers, but it is about the original Citadel Journal. That is not the one that came out in the 90s, which I think was 95, 94 to 2002-ish, I think. I've got it written down somewhere. But not that one. The one that ran from 1985 to 1987. A very short run, just 4 issues. And I'm going to go through, depending on how long it takes, at least one of them on stream. And we'll see what we find. So yeah. While someone sets off a firework outside, which is very cool. Research on YouTube? Preposterous. We should make wild claims with no backing whatsoever. Exactly. But yeah, so I'll tell you what. Let's bring the thing up. Spring is before autumn. Okay, let's get the screen on. Oh, first off, let's. I've got some lo-fi beats in the background. Let's start up and tell me if that's about right, just because it might feel a bit empty without some music going in the background. Is that fine, like volume level? Because I'm probably just going to turn it off on my end because I have trouble reading and hearing music at the same time, even if it's like fine. Sounds good. Okay, excellent. Right then. Let's do this. This is an entirely new thing for me, so there we go. Cool. The process works. Okay, so I've got all these things because obviously, like, getting hold of these physically is kind of a pain in the ass now, but they're easy enough to get hold of because they're on Stuff of Legends, which is a phenomenal site for old models and catalogs. So let us look into this thing. So, I won't be explaining absolutely everything the whole way, don't worry. I'm just going to give you a basic primer for what we're doing. Also, the video this is for, I don't know when it's going to be coming out. It depends on how much there is to do. Because I've not thoroughly been through these yet. If it's some, it might be what comes out this month, or it might be in a month or so's time. Don't know yet. We'll find out. But yeah, so yeah, the Citadel Journal is from started in spring of 1985, and was basically a spin-off. Well, spin-off's the wrong word. It was like an expansion to the Citadel Compendium, which was their big catalogues that they put out at the time. So these would have additional bits and pieces in them, like additional catalogue pages. But that's not really the part I'm interested in, because that's kind of it's just catalogue pages. You just find them and just point at them and go, oh, it's stuff, isn't it? Whereas it has a lot of articles inside of it, which the Citadel Compendiums had as well. They sort of did double duty between being sort of a kind of collector's magazine, like with more in-depth stuff than you'd find, say, necessarily in White Dwarf, whilst also doing like double duty as a catalogue. So they're interesting things. And these were sort of like smaller versions that ended up, that was kind of rebooted in the 90s, obviously, to the later Citadel Journal. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory for it. And yeah, they all had like, I think all the cover art for them is unique. I've not seen it anywhere else, but yeah, you can see this. I do like how his eyes are poking out of the mouth of this very almost squig-like face with the kind of high up nose and long philtrum. But yeah, and some slightly naked looking orcs. Okay, cool. Okay. So I've got my my notepad next to me so I can keep specific things. Steve, I need my armor to be entirely skulls, just skulls everywhere. Exactly. Oh, and yeah, feel free to pipe up and say if you see something that I don't mention, like when I'm going through stuff. If I see something and you're like, oh, what's that? Like, feel free to shout up, because yeah, this is for me to try and notice stuff and see what's kind of worth mentioning in a video. So we'll go through. Okay, so yeah, first obvious thing in these is that yeah, we've got some houses that you can make. I can't remember if all four of them have it, but I know it's in a few issues. It might be in all of them. We'll find out, won't we? But yeah, so you can build little houses and stuff. I'm definitely going to make some of these. I'll print them off for a video. Like, don't you worry. Don't you worry. Yes, Smock. As I was saying, yeah, I will definitely be making some, because they're adorable. Okay. Welcome to the first Citadel Journal. Welcome to the first new magazine, Citadel Journal. A journal is a unique organ of the fantasy hobby that is devoted almost exclusively to fantasy models and modelling. Publishing articles on fantasy gaming too, based on Warhammer Citadel's own mass combat game. It was a reader's art page. Which they've done a few things. I think I can't remember if it's in absolutely every issue, but yeah, they have user submitted art, which is something that did come up again in the later Citadel Journal as well, which is quite fun. So that orc has a lot of teeth, doesn't he? That is a big grin. Yes, the journal's primary function is to serve an updated Citadel Compendium, as I was mentioning earlier. Contains full selection of Citadel models, whose availability is guaranteed until the next compendium is published. Okay. I'm not going to read absolutely every single word here, because I've read this bit before, so I don't need to. But yeah, this is a thing actually I've noticed. They say that they wanted to make the journal quarterly. You're doing research on old Citadel journals in general or a specific subject? We're going to be doing a video on the original run of the 4 that came out like a decade before the later ones. And part of this stream is to figure out how I want to frame it all. So, yeah. But yeah, they originally wanted to do it quarterly. And I think... thank you for the sub there, Psychologist. Sub's nearly at age where children finally get to have their age in given years. Jesus, it is, yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you. Actually, thinking of stuff like that, might end up doing some streams, a few extra streams throughout this month because going to be submitting all my tax returns like this week, and I might end up with a bill, like a nasty bill. So if we end up doing more streams, that'll be why. It's a fundraising thing. But yeah, they were going to do it quarterly. I think the most they ever managed was 2 in 1 year. So they didn't quite manage that. Models appear in the compendium and this journal, only a small sample of our entire ranges. Yeah, because the big ones, you know. Well, remember, Citadel models are changing all the time, bringing you a continuous selection of adventurers, warriors, and monsters. At least 6 new models are made every single working day. Really? That is a lot. Like, they don't even manage to knock out that many Primaris these days. Someone needs to donate for Wib to make that orc his Twitter profile picture. Thank you for the sub there, Mod Hail. Thank you. Oh yeah, Citadel open day. No visitors without appointment. Oh, it's back when they were in Eastwood. Yeah, we used to live really close to Eastwood, actually. Just a town over. Feels like 6 new Primaris lieutenants each week. Yeah, it can't be 6 produced a day because that'd be way too low. I would assume. I mean, this was 85. It's kind of hard to say, but they were cranking out stuff like absolutely crazy back then, and it would disappear really quickly. Like a range would be launched and then it would disappear within like a year. It wasn't uncommon, so it could be. It could be. But yeah, there used to be in Eastwood, which is in the Amber Valley, near where I used to live. Does that make you Easterwood or Westwood? No, it's a place called Hena, and it sucked. But yeah, they used to be in Eastwood. You can see it on a lot of the old books. They have like its copyright details come from Eastwood, rather than Lenton in Nottingham, which is where they are now. Eastwood is very close to Nottingham, by the way. It's like halfway between Derby and Nottingham. Well, it's a bit close to Nottingham, I think. So yeah, they started doing open days in 84. Okay, so this was just after it. So this is before proper games day. It was just open day. Okay, interesting. Future open days, plastics. 1985 was the release of the first Citadel plastic models. Yes, we're getting to that. Well, at Warhammer, do you ever touch the Rhino's tank? Oh yeah. We've been like, I've got plenty of pictures and stuff with it. Like we tend to use it as a shorthand in videos for like we've been there because we don't live that far away from it. It's just a bus ride away. But yeah, first 60mm tall Citadel plastic models. Plastic fantasy models have gained a somewhat poor reputation over the last couple of years, with many being sold as toys. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, I guess before like that kind of stuff, yeah, it would have been interesting. Okay. If I go quiet, it's because I'm writing notes. Okay. Okay, that's just copyright details. Well, it is interesting. You see, it's obviously the things are licensed, so you see, like, you know, RuneQuest miniatures licensed from Chaosium, Traveller miniatures from under Game Designer's Workshop. Oh yeah, I've got battle cars in it. Now I'm thinking we should go. That'd be a stupid video, wouldn't it? Go and find all the places that Games Workshop used to be and find out what they are now. Because, like, outside of the things in London, they're all like close to us. That would be a very stupid video. I'm thinking that could. Yeah. Okay, so just contents. We'll go through that ourselves. So, Bubbling Under. Okay. So this is what GW was working on in the spring of 1985. So, Warhammer Fantasy Battle Rules. So they're working on new rules for Warhammer Fantasy. They sold out of the original edition. Not keeping up with the things. Okay, so rather than reprinting the original game, so the second edition was less like what we think of now as an edition. It was just, oh, we want to improve the game, so we've incorporated that, and that's the new sort of edition. Okay, that's interesting. Never really thought about that. I didn't really think about like the origins of Warhammer Fantasy. Are sort of a little bit like not something I'm like super up on, because it's not really my my wheelhouse. So interesting. Warhammer Roleplay, of course, yeah. Warhammer Roleplay would have been, it's in its initial draft. I actually really like this, because this is like Games Workshop being really like transparent with what they're doing, which you just don't get now. So Warhammer into the new role-playing game. Features include a very thorough generation system that creates a real character, complete with past experiences and skills and basic equipment, so standard RPG stuff. Well, maybe it wasn't then. I haven't really looked into old D&D and stuff. Many spells, magic items, and other detail rules. Okay. So that's going to be out in the summer of 85, apparently. Okay. Rogue Trader. There we go. This is the bunch of mates in a shack phase of GW. Yeah, it's sort of like one things I have noticed from just briefly looking over is that the Citadel Journal, the original one, is like really interesting, because you kind of see GW changing from being like really like just nothing as a company, just being a little kind of quite scrappy company like here, to Games Workshop. Like by the end they start to feel a lot more professional. But yeah, so yes, at this point, yeah, they're working on Rogue Trader, but it's, work on it has stopped pending the completion of the new Warhammer sets. As soon as possible, Rick Priest will be rewriting the original draft to make Rogue Trader fully compatible with Warhammer. Okay, so this is around the time that it was changing from its original iteration to what would later become. Because, yeah, Rogue Trader has a complete set of ship-to-ship combat rules. No. As well as rules for interplanetary travel and trade. No. Ground combat, yes, and roleplay, yeah. Into the Warhammer game mechanics, but introduces new creatures and many new technological weapons. So yeah, okay. Everyone's seeing, yeah, Ian Livingstone got a knighthood. But yeah, I mean, does anyone really want to hear my opinions on the monarchy and the concept of knighthoods? I think the only responsible thing to do is to turn one down if you're offered one, but that's just me. Realm of Chaos. Oh yeah, of course, because Realm of Chaos, even though obviously when it came out it had 40k integrated into it, it was being developed much earlier. So yeah, that was being worked on. So it will be released as soon as possible, and by that you mean 1980. Was it 88? I think the first one. You're not wrong there, Amor Samjo. Lustra. Richard has completed script for Lustra, a complete role-playing continent for Warhammer. Oh, okay. I've seen Lustra. Okay, so that's where that all came from. Again, I'm not really super up on that stuff. Wait, so Games Workshop shelved Warhammer projects until systems were done before pushing out tons of models and content. GW of old was a very different company. Citadel Compendium, so plan on bringing a new compendium every year, which, yeah, they did for a little while. I think it was only for a handful of years, and then afterwards they, started putting out stuff. And the Citadel Journal, which is the thing we're reading right now, which they keep saying they want to bring it out 4 times a year, and they absolutely will never do that. Or at least they won't in this iteration of it. And include illustrations of new ranges of models released since the last compendium was published, and it will serve as an update on the current compendium. It will also include articles about modelling and gaming in a similar way to the compendium, but I don't need to tell you that. Look for yourself. Oh, yeah, cheeky monkeys. Okay, here's something. You get to see the people who were working at Citadel at the time. Finally, another picture of Brian Ansell that isn't that one we always use. You do see a lot of this in the really old stuff of, pictures of the staff with, a piss-taking, thing. Like, oh, here's Tony Ackland, smiles to the camera in one of his most monstrous poses yet. It is a rare photograph of John Blanche. There's remarkably few on the internet. It's not like you can't find them, but it's just a weirdly few considering. But yeah, you'll recognise a bunch of names here if you've been following the channel for a while. Like Rick. Anyway. Painting with oils. Okay. Most models will agree that oil paints are far from ideally suited for use on metal miniatures. Yes, I hate them. Nevertheless, dedicated individuals who doggedly stick to this age-old medium. Why go to all this trouble? Is it really worth it? Are the people that use this stuff dangerous madmen or what? I do kind of love how this sort of era, I guess it's less even an era thing, but when GW talked about themselves in this kind of way, it's quite funny. It followed through into the later journal, where it gradually filtered out. But the early reboot of the Citadel Journal was kind of like this as well. I don't know. It's kind of adorable. It makes it feel a lot more scrappy. And yeah, it's an irreverent tone that's just, I don't know, it's just kind of, I miss it. The Warhammer community these days sometimes does it, but they're a bit more, how can I put this politely? Their job is to sell you things, so there's a limit to how self-deprecating they can be. So, painting with oil paints is not easy or cheap. Okay, they do not flow and take a long time to dry. If you use real turpentine, they smell pretty chronic too. So may ask, do I use oil paint? Okay, because it is just another way of doing it. So basically, rich paints, and this is really interesting because obviously, Games Workshop doesn't make oil paints, and Citadel doesn't make oil paints, and they never have, as far as I'm aware. So it's here, you just have to buy generic paints, and it's telling you what to buy, which is just really cool. Leave Windsor Violet for a while. Purples tend to be transparent. Okay, so it's just general advice on how to use oil paints. Down to having something to mix them on, they use a small piece of glass. Choose a jog music on it. Yeah, that's the thing. They had to acknowledge other paints and other companies, because they didn't make like these days they try and pretend like they make the complete experience. Like you can engage with wargaming in its entirety and only ever buy from Games Workshop, and that's what they want. Like all companies want that. Really, that's what they want. It's the nature of the game. But you know, at this kind of time, like no one company did everything, so they had to like acknowledge each other and behave as more of a part of an ecosystem rather than being a whole ecosystem. Like this isn't like this isn't all just going to be I'm shitting on modern GW. It's the nature of capitalism. You know, it's just everything works towards a monopoly, and it's they're encouraged to do so. Can't really change that without smashing the system. Okay, so vitals from a flash sets. Okay, so that's all kind of basics. I should point out oils being slow drying are very prone to dust, fluff, and other dirt. You must keep your painting areas tidy. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's been ages since I've worked with oils, so use a bristle brush is what we're seeing here to polish it up to be as bright as possible. Okay. Some cool, because it's all like kind of sensible stuff. Both techniques apply dark shadow color over the entire area painted. Okay. Give elves colored eyes, the rest get sepia pupils. Okay. I'm just kind of skimming over this because it's like, this is the sort of thing which within a video I like. I'll probably read through like in totality later on, but like I just want to get a general vibe for it. But yeah, it's interesting kind of seeing like, because I know some of the other things go into this. Where they're like they'll have someone who's a painter go into their specific things, but they couldn't really print everything in color, so everything has to be abstracted with like drawn images of what they're doing, which is interesting. So it's like, yeah, mix colors with cocktail stick. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've done that myself. Best skin, happy. Okay. Yeah, it's all a lot. This is all a lot to do. What is like quite simple stuff these days. Like people who are good with oil painting is ridiculous. Okay. Lips I don't usually bother with. Lips on evil figures can be done with a red lip colour, or you can add a little blue or purple. Okay. Your first figures in oils may look a total mess. Don't worry. Don't give up. Many of the prize-winning figures are done in oils, so there must be something good about them. Keep on trying and you'll soon get the hang of it. Which is, generally a good way of looking at things. And here's just, a nice table of like different paints to use. And like what you should use to shade and highlight them. She gets into the more kind of the color theory kind of stuff that like modern, I guess given the nature of like modern Games Workshop stuff, is all about using their system, and they don't really talk too much about this kind of side of like color theory and stuff, because it's not really something the average person needs to know. But again, this was like these are a bit more like in-depth stuff. More paints. And goblins and dwarves doing their thing. Citadel's new slot bait. Oh yeah, shit. Okay, so yeah, if you don't know, and so obviously the slaughter bases that GW still use, there was a time when they didn't have those. They just, a lot of their models just had, well, they were just a metal base on the bottom. Oh, thank you for the sub there, AJ's Workshop. Thank you very much. So yeah, they just had a flat metal base that was just built into the model. And yeah, this was around the time that they were dealing with that. In the past, Citadel miniatures were cast with an integral metal base, and indeed many of our models are still made that way. However, as we remold our existing ranges and introduce new ones, the old-style integral bases were replaced with the new slaughter bases. The new slaughter base is made from a tough textured plastic. They are an appropriate size to accommodate the models, and incidentally the same size as recommended to use with Warhammer, thus making it unnecessary to use card bases. Slaughter bases are ideal for displaying your painted models and can be built up with scenic material if you wish. Apparently slaughter bases are a massive thing that happen. I can imagine, because like you think about like this stuff now, like things coming with a base is such just the basic stuff. Like these days, I have painted a handful of models where the original sculpts were made like in the early 80s. And they have like a solid metal base on them, and it's just a little surreal now to not have the, because with a slaughter base as this if I remember rightly, because I remember skimming this a while ago, like the slaughter base allows you to simply clip a character off the slot so that you can use them in any other fashion. Like it as well as just being useful and giving a standardization and requiring that people don't have to sculpt, that the artists don't have to sculpt a base every single time. It means that they've then got a level of consistency. Yeah. 2 weakened grooves allow you to position the model in one way on the base. Oh yeah, because I think the original ones didn't have the slot wasn't already cut out. You had to cut it out yourself, but it was like easy to do so. 2 weakened grooves allow the model to position one 2 different ways. Do not use the model itself to push out the groove, as the tab is delicate and can be easily broken. Hey, Pomdadera. I am well, thank you. The slot was perforated. Not so much perforated because it's plastic. If I recall correctly, it's just that there was the bit of plastic around that was really, really thin, so it would come loose very easily. So you just pop it out. Why slaughter bases? That's why I decided to introduce the new slaughter bases. The original. It originated as a scheme to keep the price of Citadel models as low as possible. You can make your own joke there. As the base of the model is often 10% of the total metal cost. That makes a lot of sense, actually. After seeing the first few slaughter bases, we realised that they had a lot of other advantages in their own right that made them worth continuing. Firstly, they look far better. That is true. I agree with that. They're ideal for display and are always flat. Yeah, it gives consistency. Past metal bases often needed filing flat. Yes, that's true. Secondly, freeing a model from its base allows sculptors a whole new range of positions and other features. Yeah, that was what I was talking about. So you can do whatever you want. And having a standard size would tie them into the Warhammer game. Having consistent size for bases is also a useful part of many other role-playing games. Yeah, cool. Many other slaughter base models under design. That makes sense. Although it took them a remarkable amount of time to make ones that were actually bigger than 25mm, that weren't the bigger square ones. Found slaughter models that are more adaptable, conventional. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, also saying, if you want to, you can, still put the slaughter base ones on regular bases just by, I mean, personally, I'd cut the whole slot off, but they're saying you can just build up, like, epoxy around it or whatever. Okay. And you can buy individual bases for 2p. And they're going to be doing shields in plastic soon. Okay, cool. Okay. What have we got now? Just get Gyax and Gorgaz? That is not good fun. Lone Wolf box set by Gary Chalk and Joe Deva. Deva, maybe. I don't know. Not the Gary Chalk who voiced Optimus Primal in Beast Wars. A different Gary Chalk. I always liked when the slaughter base gave a tight fit on the model, but that did lead to young me using my teeth to encourage a model into the base sometimes. Oh, literally, like, I think it was yesterday, I was coaxing a Rogue Trader Guardsman model into a slaughter base because the slot had been cast too thick. And yeah, I had to shave it all down. So, yeah, I didn't use my teeth because of the lead. Like, I believe this one was cast when it was still in lead, so I did not use my teeth. Okay. Gyax, a small breed of evil goblinoids consisting of 3 main subspecies. Okay, so a spin-off of goblins. Okay. Of these, mountain Gyax are the strongest, and so it's just a new and some new stuff for you. Okay. Originally bred as slaves, they were evolved into a formidable fighting force. Developed their own language and warlike society based on the concept of the strongest Gyak ruling the weaker or socially inferior breeds. Oh, fantasy. Why are you always like this? Why can't you just make up a race without getting into fucking eugenicsy stuff like instantly? Like, socially inferior breeds. Ugh. Oh, they're from Joe Deva books. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it literally says co-authors of popular Lone Wolf series of adventure books. Okay, interesting. Most stories as a named Gyak language. Okay, so they are small and grey-skinned, tend to favour weapons and armour of black steel. As all mountain Gyaks are part of a strict military society, the clothing that they wear always adheres to the colour of their respective regiments. Okay, so can have nice bright colours. Shields and banners are usually a bit personal symbol of each regimental leader. Okay, so standard, that kind of stuff. They hate dwarves and nudniks. What is a nudnik? I'm not a robot. Oh, fuck you. Fire. Stop this. A pestering, nagging, or irritating person. A bore. Oh, it's a Yiddish word. Okay. Whatever? Okay. Sure, whatever. Sure, okay, whatever. They fear units of elves that number greater than half of their own numerical strength. Okay. Gyaks are not subject to intergoblinoid animosity within their own army structure. Okay. Subject to frenzy. They're immune to all non-corrosive poison venom. Okay. So just standard. Okay, so just a... Oh, so... Yeah, just weird little goblin things. Okay. Oh, and the Gorgas are these guys, the big. So that they're a big dinosaur type guy, and these are the other ones. Okay. Large 10-foot tall cold-blooded saurians are tribal swamp-dwelling breed of giant troglodyte. Just like your mum. Sorry. Their intelligence and uncanny battle wisdom is much sought after by evil army leaders. They are motivated by one overwhelming desire, the taste of human flesh. Okay. And a Gorgas is engaged in combat, it literally exudes cool. Scent glands at a ridge, the underside of its tail secrete oil that makes them immune to fear and terror reactions. Okay. They never wear clothing or armor, let it all hang out. They are commonly grey or grey-green in colour with orange or pale green bellies. Okay. Considering it's fantasy, I was most expecting Nudnik to be something racist. Yeah, I was too. I know there is something in here that is real bad on that front, so I may skip past that page. Actually, I might do that now. Not because you folks can't handle it, but I don't know how Twitch will deal with it. Give me a second whilst I turn this off so I can grab it. I can find the damn thing. Where are you, you little racist caricature? There we go. Okay. They have been removed. Okay, so for clarity, what I just remember, this is purely because I don't know how Twitch Twitch will react to it being shown on screen, but because it's the sort of thing where if someone was feeling shitty and wanted to report it, then it could be a thing. But yeah, there is a race in fantasy called pygmies, and they look okay. If you imagined what a racist would draw a someone who came from Africa like in the 1920s, that's what they are, and they look as bad as you think. The actual drawings in here aren't as bad as the final models, I personally feel, and the worst example of it is actually in White Dwarf 100. And yeah, they're real bad. I'm not going to show them, because yeah, there is. I didn't know that was the name of the company, Brinty, but yeah, there is a company that makes modern ones, and I think that they should think about what they're doing with their lives. Because, man, those are fucking bad. Anyway, so Gorgas, so we've got big, cool dinosaurs. Okay, fair. And some fun art. Okay. I realize I'm probably not going to be able to do more than one of these books, one of these magazines in this, because, wow, I've spent 45 minutes. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one who reacts with just a fucking Jesus when seeing those models. Okay, so now we get some more tips on painting and converting from John Blanche, who has drawn himself as a troll. No shortage of painting articles and modelling in the hobby over the last few years. Most are aimed at the beginner or explore different techniques that can employ bringing models to life. An excellent article, blah, blah, blah. However, there are routes of exploration which could enable you... to achieve a standard of finish which you might have thought impossible to achieve. Okay. You've got to try. Yes, thank you. Thank you, John. I know it takes time to learn to be good at painting. Thank you. Here I'll describe the techniques that I use to paint individual figures. They're far too long time consuming. Again, we're just using pictures because we can't put in photographs. I mean, they could. They do later on. But I guess the thing is, it's you've like effectively photocopying like black and white images, and it's Prepared to take time. I might spend anything up to 20 hours painting just one figure. Yeah, same, but that's just 'cause I'm slow. Excluding converting painting. Yeah. Okay. Many excellent painters embark on mammoth projects, usually designed to impress their egos as well as their friends. A bit harsh, John. A bit harsh. Many get left unfinished, so paint for enjoyment of creating, and remember the finished figure would exist in its own right as a work of art, not as a crowd plot. Okay, that's actually a decent thing. Like that's It is not attended quickly or immediately, so do not be frightened of stripping your figure and starting again. Be ruthless with yourself. I mean, that's broadly speaking true. Like, don't be afraid to start over. But also, I would also say it's also fine to finish something that's imperfect and then start a new thing and try and be better with that. Because I think you can very quickly get trapped down the path of constantly stripping a model to make it perfect. And if what you're trying to do is like get better, I think that's I think that's a piece. That's a, like I know what he's doing, but I think that's an advice. I don't personally think it's that useful, or I think it can lead you to think that there's not other options. I don't know. But hey, that's just a perspective thing. It's aiming for perfection will push you hard. That is true, but like most people I know, aiming for perfection makes them worse. Like it makes them less able to actually do anything. So I maybe it's just my personal experience. I think they're speaking more than like an objective statement. After making a choice which model to paint, remove excess metal and flash. Yeah, same thing. Don't use strong glue or epoxy resin, damage maker. Yeah, that makes sense. Looking at your figure, is there any conversion work that you would like to do? Okay. So yeah, this is all like kind of just showing you like what you can do with like the same head, with just some conversion work. So this is what it kind of starts off as. And then, you can add some stuff to the helmet. You can remove the helmet and like you'd have to like sculpt the ears and stuff. But then you're still left with the face, which is the most complicated part. Make sure it's not you're not overpowering things with the crest that's too big, which is a thing that you see a lot in like people who are just getting into converting, where they'll go a bit over the top with things and it leaves things unbalanced, which is a fair point. And using filling holes. Yeah. I do like how the last one is sci-fi orc, and it's by far and away the most complicated one for you to actually pull off. And you're just like, no, I'm not gonna actually tell you how to do that. Just sci-fi orc. Head swaps, no, that's although this is with old metal models, so this is obviously much more complicated back then. Any additions you want to make? Gaps can be filled with modeling material, green stuff these days. Cartridges could be used to mix and apply milliput. Yeah. Focal point of a well-painted Wargames army is the banner or standard. I kind of miss that. I kind of miss the big banners and standards. Oh god, I never played Warhammer Fantasy like back in the day. So like I don't have like much nostalgia. Like I had a few kits I bought to just paint, but I never really had like a huge amount of nostalgia for like ye old square bases and stuff. Sorry, pardon me. Sorry. But there is something really quite fun about having like a regiment with like a big banner standard. Yeah. Oh yeah, Beetlewinds and Brinty. There is, when you get into old Citadel stuff, and indeed just old wargaming in general, there is a lot of stuff where you go, it's really obvious that it was a bunch of British white guys making all this stuff, because their perspectives are somewhat narrow when it comes to depicting other cultures. Oh boy. Yeah. I don't think a lot of their stuff, I feel it's very born from ignorance rather than hate. But you know, if you feel more strongly about them, I ain't gonna tell you you're wrong, because some of them are real bad. But yeah, so yeah, make big banners, which is fun. Use brass wire from model shops. Yeah, especially you had to like you had to make your own banners and stuff. Like there was a lot of like just do it your fucking self, which is it's good that now you don't have to do that, of course. But I can't help but even when I started, there was still an element in sort of like 3rd edition. There was still an element of do it your fucking self, which made you learn how to do it yourself. And of course, you can still do that, but you're not, and there's something to be said of like it's not fun to force someone into something, but I don't know. More ambitious models can attempt a remodel of various parts of their models using so completely resculpting. Okay, so showing what you can do by adding clothes. Yeah, that will make sense. Okay. Sculpting chainmail, easy in the imaginable. Yeah. No conversion work is completely, leave it to dry. Yes, if you paint onto partially dry glue or certain modeling products, they can shrink, causing the paint to crack. It cause a whole host of stuff. An undercoat is absolutely necessary. Yes. It's a thing you see a lot in like new painters will just paint straight onto these. Obviously these days plastic, which yeah. But yeah, you definitely need to fucking like base coat your shit. Many good words have been written by expert painters, and there are many techniques and various paints to apply. I shall outline the article my own personal approach. I avoid gaudiness, because he's Blanche has a style that's the grimdark, what became the grimdark style. Okay, so going over like kind of brushes, obviously mentioning like specific brushes, like Kolinsky Sable ones. Now onto the main point. Some of you'll find it hard to blend colours. Yes, because it's a pain in the arse. And only practice and effort will provide you with the route to excellence. That's true. Too many layers of paint cover the detail. Yes, painting more carefully than absolutely necessary. Train your eye and hand. This is true. Even the sub there, Elysium. So I tend to like. I'm not. This is like when you're getting into like your actual techniques. There is no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you do. I'm generally a proponent of the first thing being sloppy and then neatening it up afterwards. Because otherwise I'll spend 47 years painting everything. And this is true. This isn't with the modern nice acrylics either. This is when it was all a little bit more DIY. Just buy paints from wherever. Hopefully they'll work. If you have no experience with technique, don't disappoint in the mess result. Yes, it's difficult. Okay. Artificial light tends to bleach out color. This is true. This is true. One thing I generally like when I've got like a if you've got like a harsh little desk lamp, I can't paint by that. It screws with my ability to like understand how everything looks, because it just doesn't look right. Telling you how to hold it. For this stage, I mix a small amount of colour required on my thumbnail. The result of this, other than having a convenient palette on my thumb, is that near the figure I get to move my hand out of position. I do that as well. Is this an early issue of White Dwarf or a different magazine? This is the very first Citadel journal from 1985. At future conventions, I shall look out for... one problem with this method, I permanently have a black fingernail. Or at future conventions, I shall look out for fellow members of the Order of the Black Nail. I mean, personally, John, I just wash my hands afterwards. But, you know, call me silly. I'm just being belligerent to John Blanche from, like, fucking 35 or 36 years ago. You defined a genre, an aesthetic, but I know how to wash my hands, so shields are fun to paint. This is true. Yeah, you can kind of go wild on shields. Yeah, favorite shield designs: bird, flying face. Okay, I'm going to start going through this a bit quicker, because I've spent like an hour on the first fucking 17 pages of this. In 1986, John Blanche, fuck you. Also, mid-80s, hygiene hadn't been imported to the British Isles yet. This is very true. So these are things, I find them interesting when they're trying to convey, like, painting styles, but solely in black and white illustrations, because I don't know about you, but I look at these and I go, this doesn't help me even slightly. Like, this is completely useless to me. And this is just a necessity of the time. Like, experiment with lip shades, expressions. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm liking the Ramon orc here. Painting it black and then build up. Yeah, okay, that's that kind of style. Cuts and scars, similar colour to lips. Stitching, yeah, you can just do that. War paint, yes. Boils and spots, yeah, stripes, makes sense. Jewels. Small rhinestones can be used to decorate belts, swords, and shields. I guess you can. I don't really like that kind of thing, because they reflect light in a different way, because that's obviously what you're doing, because like when you paint a model and you're giving it highlights and lowlights, obviously if it was a real thing, real things don't have highlights and lowlights baked into them. That's caused by just light affecting the thing. And when you paint at scale, you are creating the illusion of how light works at big scale in small scale, because it doesn't scale perfectly. And things like rhinestones do not reflect the same if it's a big one to if it's a small one. It looks weird. But, you know, like, it's interesting seeing that brought up, because that's just not really a thing you'd see on, like, a modern like, Warhammer. But interesting. Don't be afraid to experiment. There are no limitations, particularly with fantasy subjects, which is true. Like, I'm saying that, but, like, if you want to try it, fucking go for it. I want to see someone try it. Talking about specific pens. Okay, so cool stuff. We finally satisfied the finished fate. You need a coat of varnish. Oh yeah, that thing that I always do. I've like varnished like a small handful of my models ever. I can never be bothered, and I'm scared of using them because the spray ones, if the temperature isn't quite right, they can go a bit weird. Yeah, they would. We're using gloss varnish a lot here. I mean, the thing is, like, in a lot of times, you don't really need varnish. It's very, the only models I ever regret not varnishing are metal ones, because they get easily chipped and any extra protection. And I do keep meaning to do it. I just keep putting it off. And so yeah, now decorating your base. Okay. So slaughter bases work out quite well. Ooh, funny that. Warning: when using scalpels and modeling knives, be very careful and always cut away from yourselves. Yes. But yeah, okay. So yeah, and here we see some actual model examples. So we see one of the, the fun kind of banners and stuff.
Why can't I see the outline of his perno? How do I know it's a guy?
I mean, it looks like a skeleton.
Honey, has that ever stopped the head's TM before?
No. I mean, it does mean he has a big boner.
Got a big boner. Hi, chat. How are you lovelies doing this fine evening? Everyone's gonna fucking ignore me because of course I come in and I'm like, oh, look at the skeleton, he has a big boner.
I've just been talking about painting techniques and
I'm
stuff.
Just like, penis. Evening Snipe. I'm having a normal one. I'm okay, thank you, Mod Hale. Thank you very much, darling. Hope you all are doing well too. Bonner. As if we'd ever ignore you. Oh, you sweethearts.
Could you do me a favour?
And leave you the fuck alone?
Could you get me a drink?
What
please?
drink would you like? I have pink lemonade. I have normal lemonade. I have cordial.
I just have some more cordial for now, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember how you like it. It's a very weak consistency.
About a third less cordial than you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Great Emperor Dragon, soon to be available for about 30 quid or thereabouts. Oh, bless you. Oh, God. Actually, that's really cool. I like that model. Haunted House Scratch Built by David Andrews. Okay. This is John Blanche. Okay, cool. We've got more. Part of Citadel Dungeon diorama depicting a wizard summoning a fire elemental. Unfortunately, there isn't enough pixels in this JPEG, and this is just a bit mushy. Mix the normal lemonade and the pink lemonade, live dangerously.
Here you go. I'm glad you didn't hear me laughing in the kitchen, because I just reminded myself the whole, the Dutch for spank me daddy, which is give me and clap papa.
Yes.
And I burst out laughing, and I was hoping that because our soundproofing's pretty good in here.
It's fine.
God, you love to see it, don't you? Look at all this old stuff.
There's an old
look at
orc
the bases.
war galleon.
They look like they look like pennies. They look like I could just eat them.
Oh, those were built into. There was a whole thing about this earlier in this where it was they had. This was around the time that they were starting to bring in the slaughter bases, so most of their stuff still had like metal bases on it.
Oh, okay.
Like the fishmen, I did.
Yeah.
Because those had the metal bases. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool.
I hope your drink is okay. And I will bring you some of these because I will eat them all.
Oh, thank you. Smarty. Slaughter bases are generally called puddle bases. Oh, I haven't actually heard that term before. Interesting.
That's a really good term.
That's a good.
It encompasses exactly how they look.
No, that's a good name. Yeah, I've never heard that used. Cool. Sorry, I'm eating Smarties. We're to find out where the orc biker came from. Oh, did it come from the place where the person linked to? What were they called? Oh, began with E. Because I ended up looking at some of their models and they had some Space Marine knockoff models that I was like, oh, I really want those. But they seem pretty hard to find stuff for. Look, more fun art of a bloke with a dog chest man, no head. Okay. Enigma, that was the one, yeah. EM4 Space Ranger. Okay, I'm always interested in knockoff Space Marines, so I'm briefly going to take a look at these. Okay, I know that out. Okay, that was it. Oh, good, nice high-res image there. Okay, that was fun. The headless from Ultimate Underground. It's Underworld, isn't it? Yeah. They're kind of so disparate, and like, I might one day. This is something where I might have to like put out like a call for people to like put forth names and stuff, because there's so many of them, and like it's not something I'm an expert in or anything or know anything about. But I'd quite like to do a video one day on like knockoff, like things that are meant to be Space Marines, obviously meant to be Space Marines, but aren't. That could be quite a fun thing. Okay, so here we have the actual models themselves. Now, this is before they we were putting in actual pictures of like the models, so they just drew pictures of them. So if you've got this symbol, they require assembly. Back when most... Oh, okay, cool. Games Workshop, cool. Manic East... Oh, you are such a bunch of old... Fucking white people, man. Cyborg Warrior. Not seeing Cyborg there, but... Okay, let's go past this, because this page is upsetting. Illusionist. Cleric of Albion. I like his hat. It's got a cool hat. Okay. That is a muscular priest. I took you out. Why are you still there? Ugh. Okay. Yeah, we're not talking about that page that just went. I do like this, the Jabberwock model. I've always kind of liked it. Actually, yeah, let's have a quick look. I should just leave the thing open there so it doesn't come to that every time. You can actually see the actual model that it was. Because yeah, I don't know, the old I always thought it was something really just there's an energy to some of the old Jabberwock models that I can't help but quite like. But yeah. But a Reaper Bones Jabberwock was pretty much a spot-on copy illustration. I might have to look into that. So yeah, just a bunch of dragons. Oh, look at the one's hatching. That's kind of adorable. Okay. Oh, I like this chunky boy down here. Look how smug he is. Look at that smug fucking face. He has definitely fucked a car. He's definitely fucked a car. I'm a rogue. Okay, so Chaos Demons, back when Chaos was a bit more ill-defined. Chaos, Citadel nowadays should include more regular animals in their range for kits. Yeah, I go for that. If nothing else, because it allows you to have kind of more sort of interesting like conversion things, and like, you know, you can have a character who has a dog, or, you know, like silly little things like that. Like everyone fucking loved the dog from was it Blackstone Fortress, where the dog came from. Grounds the scale as well. That is also true. That is also true. But yeah. Elementals, who are just... Well, that's just a chunk of stuff, ain't it? Chaos Warriors. They're going for it. Right, spaceships. Here's an interesting one. So, eagle-eyed people might notice that a couple of these spaceships, like this one, and this one, and this one, were reused for Space Fleet. We mentioned them in our Space Fleet video. Also, hey, Bearded Dog Boy. Does the name Tony Luke mean anything to you? I do not know who that is. I might know who they are. I just don't remember them. But yeah, no, it doesn't spark any memories. I still want to make Space Marine chaplain that holds chicken in his arms and have a nest between his head and backpack. I see no issue with this. The problem with regular animals is they can be replaced in the game by cheaper alternatives and can't be aggressively copyrighted. This is very true. This is very true. And it's probably the reason why they don't do it. At least if they included them on sprues, like, you know how you get just like Nurglings on like Nurgle sprues and Rippers on like Tyrannid sprues. Like, that could be cool to just include like ones here and there just to be able to like, you know, like expand your things. Little frogs for lizard men, that could be nice, yeah. Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat. Doggo for Warhammer Underworld's God Swan Hunt Band. Cool. Yeah, the Skavens get lots of rats as well. Yeah, just stuff like that. Loads of stuff like that would be really cool, I think, anyway. Because whenever I get a chance to do stuff like that, I do like it. What we got here? It was the 80s. Mudak. Okay, I'm not sure what that word means. It's this era. I'm probably going to regret looking up. Kinda, okay. Little, like, crocodile boys. I do love that they're like, oh yeah, warning, these, yeah, gonna actually have to build these. It's like, yeah. Oh, that guy, also, he was an animator / comic artist before my time. I guess he's best known in the UK for a rock magazine called Dominator. I am not familiar with that. So yeah. Wib spaceship page, top left model was recycled for Space Fleet as well. Was it? Oh, okay, I don't recognise that one. Unless you mean that one. Because yeah, I think there were a handful of the little ones were as well, but like I'm not as familiar with those. Hellish flying gargoyles with his double trumpet. Okay, I'm aware this section is not really me researching. This is just me looking at stuff. Because there's not really a whole lot. Like the video, a final video would not have a lot of this in it because it's, you know, the least it's the part that's kind of interesting to look at, but it's not really video stuff. There's something about just his nose poking out beneath that that's just amusing me greatly. Beware, it could be a Simule. And the gnome hero is quite fun because it's just a dwarf but smaller. Goblin? Lesser goblin. Oh yeah, the old Lord of the Rings stuff. Grimbler. Frodo the Hobbit and his one mutantly long and spiky foot. It was cut from the original Lord of the Rings book, but you know they're going OG with it. Like it was cut out in like the editing, but they kept Frodo's upsettingly long spiky toe is one. any detail on this image of Sauron has been lost into the JPEG crust. Oh, good. Barrel whites. Okay. Interesting. The part where Frodo was a raptor, does a raptor jump and eviscerates an orc was badass. Exactly. That's the lone wolf stuff. So there is a few things from other companies that are licensed. So here's the Nidnook. That was the thing from earlier, wasn't it? So it's one of these, I guess. Possibly that. Is that okay? Because that's okay. The labeling here is a little bit. So it's these. These are the Nidnooks. Okay. Okay. Well, now we know. Cave goblins. Okay. Yeah, those are certainly some cave goblins. Ah, good old battle cars. I didn't realise they actually did like big war rigs. So I knew about this stuff. I'll have to look that up later. Some boxes. Oh, we actually get some actual pictures of miniatures before you buy them. Golden heroes, superheroes, and supervillains. Okay. Interesting. Look sideways. Okay, so that's the second Citadel Compendium. And Warhammer Fantasy Battle Rules. Okay. Arcane Armorials. This time, our regular competition calls upon your imaginative and artistic skills to design a shield pattern for a warrior of chaos. Use the shield below, or photocopy, or redraw the shield, shape and draw your own design. Employ pencil, ink, or paint as you please, and don't restrict yourself to black and white. Use colour. We have the technology. Okay. Yes, there is, in a later issue, that does show you the winners of this. Yeah. Remember to send this to do when you do it, and you are going to do it. As usual, the prize will consist of a great many Citadel miniatures, a complete month's worth of releases worth at least £60. Whatever next. What are you waiting for? Okay. So remember to send it to this place. They do not exist anymore. You should draw a shield. When we do the video for this, I may do a thing with this. Amendments. Okay, so here's like an actual like FAQ / errata. Yeah, they've actually like errated the book. Okay. I've not. I don't. Do I have? I think I might have a PDF knocking around. Can you both please do your own for the video? We'll get the engagement going by doing two and getting everyone to vote on which one was the best one. But okay, so that's yeah, okay. So fixing their errors, you know. Okay, here's something cool. Readers Gallery. Was pleased to receive artwork from Readers Citadel Journal. I mean, this will be the first time. These are just a small selection of the many drawings we receive every week. If you'd like to send a picture of your own, make a drawing in black ink only. In black ink only. No other inks are accepted, you fucking animals. And mail it to Citadel. Remember to include stamped self-addressed envelope if you would like your artwork returning. Okay. Oh, and you get a voucher for sending in. Okay, that's fun. They also did this when they brought back the Citadel Journal as well. If you use blue ink, John Blanche will find you and remove your eyes. Probably. He does seem like the sort. How many of these early pre-Citadel journals were there? There were 4, only 4 issues, and there are 50 issues of the later one. Look at Rad McCool there. Exactly, he's so cool. Hey, Gary Parks. I wonder what he's doing now. In Nottingham. I'll go get on the bus and go and look for Gary Parks and say, you drew one cool dude. Like this weird angry mushroom monster. Dwarf. Horseman. Horseman. Okay. That's a Judge Dredd scale chin there. This dragon looks like he's sneaking to the fridge in the middle of the night. Okay, so more. Oof, God. Oof, oof. This is one crunchy JPEG. Okay, with the introduction of new sets of Regiments of Renown series, many Warhammer players have written asking about fighting profiles and other details for their new models. Well, here they are, together with original descriptions of the first Regiments of Renown rewritten to fill in the new second edition of Warhammer. Okay, so, alright. So, redoing rules for models they have released since the new edition. Okay. So, when the dwarves built the mountains of Crunchy in the east of the old world, they created the... Oh man, this is real bad. Yeah, that. Lord Guest? Most largest, the largest. Okay, I thought it was like supposed to be a proper noun. Okay, the largest, most wonderful and impenetrable fortress the world has ever to see. Its chambers and halls open up the heart. Dwarves, okay. It comes to what many foul creatures, dwarves. Okay, so they dug too deep. Weird shit. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so just printing, reprinting old rules for, well, new rules for stuff that they previously announced. Okay. Got here, mercenary ogres. The war between the goblins and the dwarves had just begun when Golg, not saying that, and his ogre band emerged. Out of the northern darkness. Rut dog, something. Okay. 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 Oh, really? They kept that? I would have. Yeah. It's certainly a name. Yeah, my knowledge of Warhammer Fantasy Battle is legendarily shaky, so. The mighty Throg and his hobgoblin, despoilers of the Dark Lands. Okay. Oh yeah, these are the guys we saw earlier in the thing. Okay. Again, I think someone said earlier, like, you know, as whenever you encounter like them representing something from that is based on a real world American culture, a real world culture, foreign culture. I was reading something and that completely threw me off. Real world culture, like, it's always a bit shaky, but yeah, they do manage to at least have some representation, which it gets. Sometimes it's a bit weird these days. Oh, Both and the Black Mountain Boys. Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, just redoing their thingies. Flying Gargoyles of Barda. Again, we saw those models earlier. That's cool. The Bard's Gargoyles were a new and previously unknown type of lesser demon, but other wizards were soon to learn to safely summon and control them using level 2 summon lesser demon spell. Goggles can fly as swoopers and have a profile as given below. Okay. Cool. Battle cry. A cackling howl or insane cackle. Either way, they be cackling. Grom's Goblin God. Ooh, what a pleasant rotund fellow. Grom selected his guard from outcasts amongst the Goblin Society, creatures of doubtful ancestry and little standing. Okay. Just call it Grom and the Bastards. Like, you just be done with it. Okay, I like this. The battle cry. Goblins are not known for their eloquence. Oh, Grom's still around. Cool. That's the thing. Like, I do not know my Warhammer Fantasy beyond the small snippets that I've learned about for various things. I had a chariot pulled by three wolves. Oh, that one. Okay, cool. Some of this book veers dangerously close to phrenology. I mean, I was kind of talking about it earlier, like, you know, fantasy as a whole, because it uses fantasy races, it talks about and like is often using those as a stand-in for cultures. It means that sometimes fantasy gets a bit hairy with how it talks about factions within a game. Sometimes it's in a relatively harmless way, but it still makes you go a bit, ooh, I don't like when they say that. And other times it gets full on into like, well, that's just racist. It's the cross to bear that fantasy and sci-fi also carries with it all the time. And it's just about how you artfully implement such things. Fun question. Can you name a fantasy setting that doesn't rehash real life cultures into their fantasy setting? I mean, I'm pretty sure all of them do, to some degree, because of course, all works of art and fiction are a reflection of the world that the person that created it is in. It's nearly impossible to create something wholly unique. But you know, it's about how you manage these things, and you know how you talk about these things. That means whether it's a good or a bad thing. There's nothing wrong. I think that's the thing. It's a bit like the whole when people talk about like cultural appropriation. It's not thing bad. It's merely a statement. Like, a thing is a thing. It's a value neutral term. Like, it's how these things are done, whether a thing is bad or not. So yeah, it's just something, you know, just as a creator, you just have to be a little mindful of, that you can easily create caricatures of real world peoples, and especially if they themselves are, say, you know, a colonized culture, then, I mean, personally, I would not be happy to put out that vibe. I'll put it that way. Mood out to mercenary half-orc maniacs. Okay. Okay, so again we're going more. Sorry, I am just thoroughly amused by that the paymaster and champion is named Earwangle. Oh yeah, don't worry. A lot of us go like we were talking about those. Oh hey, Bugman's Dwarf Rangers. It's the dude whom the pub at, well, the bar / restaurant at Warhammer World is named after. Not Lob's Orcish bolt-throwing engines. Okay. Bowman of the Wood Elf Prince Orion. You know, I kind of love how this was. This is like ostensibly just, this is just an expansion to a catalog, and we're like, Oh no, now we're just, here's just like a ton of rules. Like, just here's just stacks and stacks of it. Like, we've told you how to paint your models, we've shown you where to buy them, and here's how to play with them. Like, Elwing's Elven Guard Cavalry. Mengel Manhide's Company of Dark Elves. Okay. I should be looking at all the battle cries of them, because they have no battle cry. They prefer just sneaking up in the night. Let me see. I need to go back. Death to the Defilers. Let's look at the different battle cries. I should have been doing that, because that's the funniest part. The battle cry of this regiment is based on the age-old tradition of challenging strangers in the darkness. In Elvish, the war cry is Elo Kalo Gotta Liet, which is popularly supposed to translate as "Hello, hello, what's going on here then?" Oh, fucking old Warhammer. What about a war cry of friendship, though? Oh, maybe. I think the Metal Gear noise is the war cry of friendship, because you just subscribed. Thank you very much. Battle cry. Due to the nature of their weaponry, these orcs do... You're right there, just slurping into a straw.
I'm a thirsty bitch.
Right. Orcish fashion, however, the orcs... Okay, so they employ various slogans along with their missiles, including such erudite witticisms as "Noblob does it from 300 feet" and "Chew on this, stunty." Take the high ground. The green was... Okay, you're boring. Okay. Battle chariots of the Goblin Warlord. Okay, the usual battle cry was tear out their livers and eat them raw. After his betrayal by the mercenary ogre, who I don't like to say the name of, Bogdan took to shouting out, "Rot you!" Okay, Eldritch Pistol. Okay, so this is the write-in thing, which I think this is one that carried over from the Citadel Compendium. So let's see what people were writing in. Okay, are these rumors true about the plastic stuff coming out? I mean, bendy plastic orcs, come on, surely. Like, no. About a year ago, we realised that the rocketing price of metal alloy was making a metal model an expensive proposition. We'd always had plastics at the back of our collective consciousness, but not until then did we take any steps towards doing anything about it. Making plastic models is a horrendously expensive business, this is true, and also very slow. Our first step will be the Fighting Fantasy range of 60mm high plastic models to be released later on this year. To start with, we've done Barbarians, Knights, Warriors, Chaos Dwarves, Skeletons, Goblins, Ogres, Orcs, and Wizards. All have separate heads or helmets. So this is before the psychostyrene stuff where they did the early Warhammer Fantasy stuff. Okay. Plastic models have had rather an unfavourable press in the past due to being labelled as toys or poor in detail. Well, our models are neither, and so far everyone who has seen has been surprised about how good they are. You still don't like the idea? Well, don't worry, the metal ninjas are alive as well for the foreseeable future at any rate. And don't call me Shirley. Good, the important part. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I never really thought about that, because obviously, like, this is studio we were talking about keeping prices down. What universe is this? They mean prices for them. I actually think that it's a bit more... They are trying to keep the prices down across the board. I mean... It's funny when they were like talking about that as regards to Finecast. like whole Finecast thing, and it's like, oh, you're releasing these like new resin models, and it's like, but why do they cost more than the metal ones? Resin is cheaper than metal. What are you doing? It's true, Beetle. You cannot proper bean your younger cousins with them. You can proper bean your younger cousins with a metal model. The plastic ones do not work as well.
Bean?
Yeah.
The fuck are y'all talking about over there?
A plastic. Look, if you look back in the day, you take a metal dreadnought, you can fucking cave someone's skull in with that. You dread sock them. Or you take like a big old metal dragon. It's going to fall apart because breathing near it's going to make it fall apart. But you can proper mess someone up with that. But can you imagine going up to someone like with like say a big modern model, like I don't know, like what's his face, Nagash, like the big fancy Nagash.
I would never
you
hit
poke someone with it
because he's too sexy.
You poke someone with it, they'd be like, ooh, there's just pokey bits, but like it wouldn't be. It doesn't have the heft. You can't hit someone with it. You can poke them with it. That's it's different.
A Warhound Titan, like if you put that in a sack and smack someone, it would fucking kill them.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Because it's like 10 kilos of solid resin.
But there's easier ways to spend £300 to brutalise someone.
Yeah, I guess. So, you're fucking over there. It's supposed to be a research stream. You plot to fucking kill someone? Okay. That's cool.
Anyway, yeah, it hadn't really occurred to me, like, yeah, how, because, yeah, the early plastics, like, I know some of you have obviously played with them and stuff, but not everyone will have. But if you've used like early GW plastics, like the earliest stuff I've used is I've painted a bunch of the first Space Marine plastic kit. Is really basic, like it's really basic compared to like what would come even like not that long later. Like it's really they're very fuzzy compared, but you can see how it would have that reputation when you see the comparison to the clarity of the metal models. So it's interesting. It's interesting. One of us came to Citadel. Okay. We enjoyed ourselves immensely. Everyone was friendly and helpful and willing to answer any question we cared to put to them. The standard of the painting competition was very high, and the Players Guild display was phenomenal. Okay. Well, will next open day be? Okay, so talking about the next open day. Okay, so again, being self-deprecating, like talking of Richard Halliwell, one of those unlucky enough to speak to this elusive gaming personality was heard to utter, "He's even worse than I imagined." I imagine that's what's been said by anyone who walks away who's met me in real life. People go, "Oh, hey, you're Snipe Wib," and then they walk away going like, "Ooh." That is true, Zingbo. That is true. Like the RTBO ones, comparison between the monopose second ed ones and the RTBO ones is an interesting one, because on the one hand, the RTBO ones are much, you can do much more with them, even though all of their poses are ridiculous. They're easier to modify and easier to do stuff with, and they don't look uniform. Because you can alter the poses, whereas the monopose second ed ones are by definition monopose, so they look a bit boring in a row. But the actual the pose is by necessity of how they wanted to do them, meant that they're kind of like this quite weird and crunched up pose. But there's the actual quality of the detail on them is a lot higher. So it's it's a weird one. Anyway, shed a light on the rumor that Tony Ackland is releasing a Citadel calendar containing large colour sketches of Citadel figures. Arta preparing a calendar for Christmas, but failed to get her act together at a critical moment, knocked the whole project on the head. Oh, okay, so it didn't happen, but the art will be used elsewhere. Okay. So due to metal casting and recent price rises, I've been buying your figures for quite a few years now, and I'm still amazed at continuous improvement in your design. Every new batch of figures is better than the last. But 60p for a foot figure. Is this astronomical price rise 15p on an average really necessary? Oh, Lee Connor, you ignorant slut. Oh, man. Oh, man. It got worse, Lee. It got worse. Are we just paying for more of the fancy packaging to make matters worse? I can't help but notice the declining standards in quality control. Last week I bought 2 fighters, both of which were very badly cast with either scabbards or weapons not properly formed. See, this is a fun thing. They are printing this. They are engaging with people having these concerns, publicly. Which shows just the difference in them as a company, how much more small scale and just not a big faceless publicly traded company they were. There were faces to it, and it's interesting. It's one of those things where it's understandable why it is not like that anymore. It would be impossible for them to run their company of a size like that and still be like this. It just wouldn't really work. Or at least it'd most often come across like, brand Twitters clapping back at each other. It'd come across more like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Always interesting. Quite a few collectors expressed their dismay at the new price of coatings. Sadly, it's out of our hands. The alloy that uses contains a proportion of bismuth as well as lead, and the price of bismuth has gone through the roof. Again, this is a level of clarity over their reasons for doing things that it would be kind of nice to get a little bit of this. Maybe if they had a dedicated blog that was about being transparent with things like this. But I guess it's harder to do your hype train shit, yeah. We absorb one pressure, so we had no choice but to increase. Okay. In all cases, you'll probably find this because and they're saying, true that some manufacturers of wargame figures are traditional toy soldiers meant to sell at much lower cost than Citadel, but that's because they use a cheaper alloy, or the economies are being made in design standard customer service, or the number of different designs being made. So they're basically saying, ours cost more because they're better. Fuck off. Which, I mean, when they're being more transparent about stuff, I'm more willing to let that kind of thing slide, you know what I mean? Packaging accounts for any tiny fraction of the cost. I mean, it's just a piece of cardboard and and some plastic. Quality is something we're very keen not only to maintain, but to improve. And local retailers might have been cast 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago. If you're a regular collector, it's inevitable sooner or later you will find a poor casting. I mean, this is kind of true. It just happens from time to time. It's one of those things that's more, it's good if it doesn't happen, but when it does happen, it's how annoyed I am by it is how the company responds, so... So it's interesting, they're bringing up slaughter base as being one of the reasons, things to keep it down. Okay. I'd like to know, the manufacturer or manufacturers who produced some of the models used in your display games, they certainly were not Citadel miniatures, unless I'm very much mistaken, nor any company I know of. I like how they don't print the full letter, they just print the segment that has the question. So yeah, we did a thing and it has non-Citadel models in it, which again you wouldn't get now. Is it possible to have my character made into a metal figure, and how much would it cost? No, it is not. It's also harder to believe when even low-grade gunpowder hits regularly blow them out of the water with quality and engineering. You see, now that's the thing. When we're talking about it in the modern day, especially. People have caught up to where GW was. And it's, yeah. When they're... and there's a difference between, you know, a company at this scale that they were, or say like any third-party company now where they're just much smaller. Them having occasional wonky quality control is a bit more of a thing. When you're dealing with the scale of which GW works at these days, there's really no excuse. Oh, thank you for the sub there, Lynn. Thank you very much. But yeah, wait 30 years until Hero Forge comes along. But yeah, they're just when I was flicking through this before to like just to see kind of a general idea of what's in here, I did notice this question. It's basically no, fuck off, but nicely. Okay. Oh, we've got a profile on Richard Halliwell, a Warhammer monster. Is a strange and elusive monster, rarely seen in the daylight, preferring to spend much of his time asleep in his underground lair or pit. The beast can easily be recognised by its nervous, questing eyes, badly shaking hands, and by the tea stains covered its clothing. The Richard Halliwell resembles humans to some extent, a fortuitous coincidence that serves to confuse government bodies and, sadly, Richard Halliwell. World distribution. Nottingham. The creature has a very strict pattern of migration that takes it from Hyacinth Green to Canning Circus and back. Alignment chaotic. It causes fear in small children and vacuum cleaner salesmen. Causes terror in people's mothers. Subject to strangeness. Will act strangely for a turn on a d6 roll of 6, otherwise will fall comatose. It is impossible to measure due to erratic, fluctuating personal characteristics. Okay. Yeah, alright. Okay, Archaic Abode. So this is like talking about the little house we saw. Half house and tower. A specifically designed building, ideal for Warhammer games or as part of any scenic background for any role-playing game or diorama. The house can be assembled either with or without the tower. Okay, so it has a little tower. I think that's... Yeah, here's the extra tower part. Okay. Okay, so this is... Alright, okay. I like how it's got all instructions and stuff. I had to reboot my flying. Ah, Lynn, yeah, it's due to self-isolation stuff. But yeah, I will. Whenever we get around to this, I'm going through this for this stream. Oh, I'm going to be at a dog boy. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Yeah, I'm thinking that this will not be this month's video because going through all this, though obviously like a video wouldn't be talking about it like I am here, so it wouldn't take like 2 hours. A house printed in White Dwarf later. That sounds about right. There's a bunch of them in all of these. Oh, thank you for the bits there, Ed. Thank you. Some of these colour buildings plan look a lot like some of the cardboard buildings that appear in the 4th edition fantasy box and White Dwarf Town. So yeah, they do look very familiar, I will say. So it doesn't surprise me. Now do we want to make ourselves sad and look at the price list? Let's see how much things cost. So, like those little boxed sets that we saw for like all the armies of renown, regiments of renown, rather. No worries, Mod Hale. See you. Oh shit, Lynn. Oh well, I'm glad you got it all sorted. But yeah, so like for less than a $5, you get a little regiment. Oh, and here we've got the actual paints. You can buy dice from them. So paints were 60p. 60p. What? They're like £2.70 or something now? I want to know how much. I don't mean images. Oh my god. Oh my god. Because I always forget. I just want to base paint. Oh my. Okay. So 275. Okay. It was 1985, Dog Boy. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how much these things change. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, lots of your basic stuff being 60p is yeah. So interesting. Most of those regiment boxes were 1 command figure and 9 troops, so if you wanted a full command, you had to buy 3, which meant £4.50 makes almost £14. I know, ridiculous. Using Citadel colour, an entirely new range of paints. Oh yeah. The pigments have been specifically designed by us to provide a comprehensive range of strong fantasy colours. You'll think you'll be amazed at the difference between our new paint and ordinary hobby paint, including the classic Goblin Green. 60p in 1985, £2.10 today. See, that is the thing. I am always fascinated by that when you do the inflation calculation, because some stuff like the paints and stuff, that's not too bad, like as far as inflation goes. Like, yes, it's more, but like it's not like outrageous. Whereas some stuff is really bad, but it's also really hard to compare models because the quality of models now is so much higher than it used to be. This is like €364.80. Well, that's in euros. Rather than me pounds sterlings. Okay, that's actually the end. That is the end. Okay. Let's see. I just want to see what their guide to this early Citadel colour is. That is true, Brinty. Inflation is it's but one metric in order to gauge how much something is costing you. I feel like getting into like what is an item truly worth and the Labour theory of value might be a little bit beyond my abilities. The amount of people involved in making a single model is probably also... Oh, yeah. Back in the early days, it was a dude who would make each model, like generally. History's greatest monster, a name, I guess. That is a thing. I generally feel that the boxes where you get, like, say 10 troops in them or whatever, they're generally all right. I feel like in terms of price, like when you look at like in. All right is a relative term here because obviously the cost of living has been going up, especially I live in Britain, fucking Brexit land, where everything is getting worse all the time. Not like in a way that makes anyone vote any different, but just in a way that makes things just slightly shitter all the time a bit. It means, you know, I don't think like the big boxes of things are generally like that bad price wise. Like, I'd prefer to pay less, but whatever. But the ones that are really bad are like, yeah, the single characters, like, you know, you want to buy like a Primaris Chaplain, and it's like, I mean, what are those up to, like 25 quid or something now for a single dude? Like, that is taking the piss, especially because it's just plastic. It's the same stuff as the dudes you're buying in packs of 10 for nearly the same price. it's obscene how much those things charge for, and let's just say there's a reason why I think only one of my Primaris like character like people was bought at full price, which was bought for me for a Christmas present. The rest of them were from like Partworks magazines. Yeah, they can get away with it. They can get away with it. That's the thing. They'll keep doing it while it still sells. Old mother capitalism. Anyway, rather than getting annoyed, let's just read this. So before painting your model, first clean off any mold lines. Yeah, same. Use a file modeling knife. Yeah, all kind of simple things. Make cuts away from yourself, you idiots. Undercoat the model using a matte white enamel spray paint. I tend to use black, but you know. But again, different time, different style. When painting, you need a good brush, at least 1 jar of water and some tissue. You also need an old plate or tile to use as a paint palette. Best to not paint directly from the pot. Don't fucking tell me what to do. As this tends to mess up the pot, and it's all too easy to accidentally mix colours in place as much as each colour you're likely to use. Yeah. I mean, you should. Yeah, Brinty, that is the thing, yeah. It's a very different era, different materials. Separate water jar for things with metallic paint, otherwise you'll find bits of silver and gold cling to your brush. That's an interesting point. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that with the older metallic paints. That's how they would have worked. Citadel colour is water-based and can be freely mixed with other water-based paint. It cannot be mixed with water or enamel. Understandable. Nor can it be thinned with... Yeah, just use water. Wet repoint brushes after use. They will be ready next time we use them. After finishing painting your model, you'll probably want to protect paint job against accidental damage. To use polyurethane varnish, available either in spray can or tinlets. The phrase tinlet I've not heard before. That's adorable. It's good, it works out cheaper in the long run. You must allow the model to dry properly, otherwise the paint will run. Metallic paints take 3 days to dry. Proper non-metallic paints can be varnished after 24 hours. This is a thing you don't really see people talk about. I still know the new ones do the same thing. They do, but to a much lesser extent. And I never use fancy brushes, so it works out alright. But yeah, it's something you don't really see people talking like about paints and stuff needing to cure. Like paints and things become dry to the touch relatively quickly, but to properly dry, they often take a lot longer, and you don't really see it ever mentioned anymore. Partially because the materials can just deal with it, but you know. You see it more on like people doing. I mostly hear it when people are talking about like restoring like old, like Hot Wheels cars and things like that. It's interesting. But yeah, no, okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm probably not going to do any more because I've already been going for 2 hours and it is like 11:30 at night. If glue needs to cure, does that mean it's as sick when it is wet? But yeah, I'm not going to do any more just because it'll take way too long. But yeah, last half hour of me being 40. Well, I wish you happy birthday for when that rolls around. Sick of glues, my dude. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. This is a bit of a weird one. It's just something I thought might be interesting to do. I'm not sure if I will do one again. I guess it kind of depends on what needs to be gone through. And if going through it like this was helpful in making the video, because it might just be the case that because I'm like communicating it to you that I don't retain any of it, if you know what I mean, and so it doesn't actually end up being helpful, like, or conducive to making videos. We'll find out when I start writing this thing. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy this little experiment, regardless. If you hurls pants, do not hurl your pants at me. It's one thing I ask. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll bid you all farewell, and yeah, you'll take care of each other. Bye bye.